My goal is to win again, Sinner opens up about Alcaraz ahead of Melbourne. The reigning champion has returned to the stage where he reached the pinnacle of glory. Jannik Sinner did not hide his desire to repeat the feat he achieved last year. With the calmness that characterizes him, the world number one went straight to the point about his ambitions for this edition. My goal is to win the Australian Open again. Jannik Sinner is already in Melbourne Park and his first words have stirred the atmosphere ahead of the draw. The two-time defending champion does not hide his ambition, although he acknowledges the difficulty of the task that lies ahead. The current world number 2 arrives at the first Grand Slam of 2026 with a clear mission: to extend his dominance on Australian hard courts. In statements collected by ESPN, the four-time Grand Slam champion was direct about his intentions for this fortnight. Winning here again is one of my goals for the season, but I know it will be very difficult to repeat it, confessed the Italian, who is seeking a historic third consecutive title in Melbourne. The confession about Alcaraz, an inevitable final. One of the most striking moments of his appearance came when he analyzed the possibility of facing his great contemporary rival. The native of San Condito was realistic about how the seeding system shapes the tournament. Of course, I think that if I want to face Carlos Alcaraz again, because of our ranking, the only way is for both of us to reach the final, said the champion, making it clear that the most anticipated clash for fans can only take place on the final Sunday of competition. Despite not having played any official tournaments before landing in Oceania, the Italian exudes absolute confidence in the work done during the preseason. You start the season with some doubts, which is normal. At the same time, I have a lot of confidence because of previous results and my recent performances in Melbourne, he explained. Regarding his physical condition, Sinner sent a reassuring message to his followers and a warning to his rivals: I feel good physically, so we'll see what happens. The off-season break was fantastic. Melbourne, Jannik Sinner's playground. The statistics back up the Italian's confidence. The Australian Open is, by the numbers, his favorite Grand Slam. With an impressive 85% win rate, 22 victories and only 4 defeats, the Transalpine has turned Rod Laver Arena into his personal fortress. His 2 consecutive trophies are no coincidence, but the result of tennis that seems perfectly suited to the extreme conditions of the Australian summer. Tomorrow, Thursday, when the matchups are decided in the official draw, we will know who will be tasked with trying to stop a Sinner who, in his own words, is happy to be able to play again and ready to defend his kingdom. The striking message Alcaraz sends to Sinner ahead of 2026. The player from Murcia once again showed his elegance in a press conference by dedicating a few words of respect to his greatest rival, with whom he hopes to continue fighting for the biggest titles. The exhibition match held in Incheon, South Korea, between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner left much more than just the result. The Spaniard showed good feelings after defeating his biggest rival 5-7 and 6-7-8. At the end of the match, the world number 1 dedicated exemplary words to the Italian: "You deserve the best, all the best for you, for your team, and as our team says, I hope to see you many Sundays." A rivalry that is marking an era in the world of tennis and that will undoubtedly provide plenty of spectacle in the season that begins on January 12 with the Australian Open. Marked by mutual respect, something the Spaniard demonstrated: "Jannik, we finish the season playing together, we start the season playing together, so I hope this season will be as good as last year's." A message of admiration and recognition for Sinner, with whom he hopes to continue competing and pushing each other to reach 100% of their level. A year begins in which both are expected to continue dominating, with permission from Novak Djokovic, but in which, despite their youth, they are the big favorites to win all the Grand Slams of 2026. Both will arrive in Melbourne fully recharged. Alcaraz will thus face his first tournament since the split with Juan Carlos Ferrero. Aware that it is the last Grand Slam he still needs to win and that, if he were to claim what would be his 7th major, he would enter the Tennis Hall of Fame at just 22 years old. Alcaraz and Sinner open the door to playing doubles together. This year there could be a surprise. Both left that possibility open and even debated which side each would play on the court. Carlos Alcaraz defeated Jannik Sinner in the exhibition match they played this Saturday in South Korea. In the lead-up to that clash, both players shared a press conference in which they were asked about the possibility of playing a doubles match together at some point in their careers. Both left the door open and even discussed which side each would take on the court. "At least once would be nice. But I think I would play on the forehand side and he on the backhand side, if my partner agrees. In our case, I think there's no doubt about who prefers to play forehand and who backhand, although we've never really talked about it. We've played many matches, sometimes we've faced each other in several tournaments in a row, so if we ever played together in doubles we would have to see who plays on each side," laughs. "It would be fun, for sure," answered the Spaniard. For his part, Sinner replied, "Yes, I agree with that, for sure. Yes, so I think my backhand, your forehand. But we've never talked about this. I think it would be fun at least once to share the court in different ways, on the same side. Although with the calendar we are focused on singles and it's very difficult because if you go deep in singles and then also have to play doubles, you don't get proper recovery. But for one tournament, I think it would be great to do it. We'll talk about it, maybe at some point this year there could be a surprise, added the Italian. LeBron James blesses Alcaraz, my respects to the young king. The Los Angeles Lakers player applauded Alcaraz's gesture when he went out to train at the Australian Open wearing his jersey with the number 23. Carlos Alcaraz continues to generate excitement at the Australian Open, even more so after the Spanish tennis player appeared at his training session this Monday in Melbourne wearing a Los Angeles Lakers jersey with the number 23 of LeBron James. Alcaraz, who in Australia will be looking to close the Grand Slam circle, since the Melbourne tournament is the only title still missing from his resume, hopes to become, if he is not already, one of the kings of the sport. Alcaraz's striking look with LeBron James's jersey received a response from one of the legends of sport, LeBron himself, who through his social media did not hesitate to share the image of Alcaraz along with this meaningful message: "My respects to the young king," the nickname by which LeBron himself is also known. Alcaraz will take part this Wednesday in the one-point slam, which will distribute $1 million Australian dollars in prize money, and on Thursday he will train with the public against Alex de Minaur after the draw for the Australian Open, where he will learn what his path will be in the first Grand Slam of the season and where Alcaraz wants to emulate LeBron to become the king of Melbourne. The theory that could predict that Carlos Alcaraz will win the 2026 Australian Open. A major coincidence could predict that this will be the year Carlos Alcaraz completes the Grand Slam of his career. The 2026 Australian Open has officially begun its qualifying rounds, although the top seeds will not start until next week. Jannik Sinner will try to defend his 2,000 points from last year, which are crucial if he hopes to soon take the world number 1 spot from Carlos Alcaraz. Meanwhile, the Spaniard wants to win his first Australian Open title, the only Grand Slam he has yet to win. Due to the seeding, if Alcaraz reaches the final he could end up facing Jannik Sinner on February 1 and Alcaraz has already won his first clash with Sinner, an exhibition match in South Korea. The theory that could predict that Carlos Alcaraz will win the 2026 Australian Open. In recent days, a theory has been circulating that could predict that Alcaraz could end up winning the Australian Open. As shared by ESPN, Alcaraz will play his 5th Australian Open this year. And before him, Roger Federer, 2004, Rafa Nadal, 2009, and Jannik Sinner, 2004, also won their first Australian Open tournaments the 5th time they played it. Most astonishing of all is that all three were 22 years old when they won it for the first time. In all three cases, it was also their first Australian Open final. Alcaraz has never reached the Australian Open final.